190 people. They're doing backflips. Oh, gosh, you got Yahoo doing backflips, ESPN doing backflips, Fox doing backflips, Front Office Sports doing backflips. All of them said, you know what? We've ignored Unrivaled all season long. Finally, they give us something good to talk about. And they all just publish it. Oh, 21,000, record breaking.
21,000 people packed into an arena in Philadelphia, and the media went into celebration mode. ESPN, Yahoo, and Fox Sports all ran the same headline about record-breaking attendance for Unrivaled. After weeks of being ignored, the league finally had something positive to promote. But what none of those headlines mentioned is that while 21,000 fans were in the building, almost no one else in the country bothered to turn on their television. The ratings that came out afterward reveal something much more troubling than anyone wants to admit. On Friday,
January 30th, Unrivaled takes over Philadelphia. Breeze vs. Phantom, 40,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic. Rose vs. Lunar Owls, 40,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic. Of all of the programs featured here, they are 146th and 160th in national rankings for television that night.
On Friday night, each game drew about 40,000 viewers in the key 18 to 49 demographic. To put that into context, those two Unrivaled games ranked 146th and 160th among all television programs that night, not just sports but everything on TV. That is when the 21,000 attendance number starts to make sense. Those fans were likely the same people who would normally be watching from home. The league did not create new interest by going to Philadelphia, it simply moved its existing audience from their couches into arena seats. The big crowd was a one-time spectacle, and almost nobody else tuned in to see what all the hype was about.
It makes perfect sense now. Makes perfect sense now. You take a look at Unrivaled ratings. You take a look at year 2 for Unrivaled. Unrivaled, the golf league, taking viewership hit in second seasons. This is an article put out by Sports Media Watch. The two new leagues who generated headlines at the start of last year are off to slower starts in their sophomore campaigns. The women's 3v3 basketball league Unrivaled was averaging 103 viewers across TNT and True TV through week 3 of the season as of January 26th, down 44% from the first 3 weeks of last year's inaugural.
Nobody showed up for it. And that Philadelphia game is really just a symptom of a much bigger problem. Sports Media Watch has now released its analysis of Unrivaled's second season, and the numbers are brutal. The league is averaging about 103,000 viewers across TNT and True TV through the first 3 weeks, which is down 44% from last season. In just 1 year, they have lost nearly half their audience. This is especially alarming because the league actually expanded. They added 2 new teams, increased to a 4th night of games, and spent heavily on marketing. Caitlin Clark appeared on Good Morning America, and the Philadelphia event was pushed everywhere in the media. Yet despite all of that effort, viewership still dropped sharply. The breakdown by network makes it even worse. Games shown on both TNT and True TV are averaging around 145,000 viewers, but games that air only on True TV are pulling just 64,000. The problem is that Unrivaled added a 4th night of games this season, and all of those extra games are True TV exclusives. They expanded the schedule, and almost no one showed up to watch the new content.
Did I read that correctly? Unrivaled was averaging 103,000 viewers across TNT and True TV. That's nasty work. That's crazy bad. That's true.
Now, Unrivaled might blame football for their poor numbers, and it's true that about half of their telecasts through January 26th aired against NFL or college football games. The 2 highest-rated broadcasts this season, the January 5th opener and the January 26th window, avoided football entirely. But here's the kicker, the Philadelphia event on Friday, January 30th, faced 0 football competition. It had a clear schedule, massive promotion, record attendance, and headlines everywhere in the sports media, and it still only drew 40,000 viewers per game in the key 18 to 49 demographic. You can't blame football when you've got the perfect setup and the audience still doesn't show up. At some point, you have to accept that the audience just isn't there. People aren't seeking out unrivaled games, even when the content is easy to find and heavily promoted.
And a paywall soon enough, folks. Soon enough, they're going to be behind a paywall, whether it's HBO Max, whether it's Paramount Plus, whether it's Netflix. We talked about that. Whatever it is, their days on TV are numbered. Game simulcasts on both TNT and True TV are averaging 135,000.
Unrivaled is losing viewers at an alarming rate. When a league drops 44% of its audience in a single year, even while expanding and spending more on promotion, that isn't just a temporary setback. It's a fundamental problem with the product itself. That raises the obvious question: how long before Unrivaled disappears behind a paywall? With averages of just 103,000 viewers, these numbers do not justify the television space they're taking up on TNT and True TV. They aren't providing real value to the networks, and those time slots could easily be filled with literally anything else.
Some positive news, shall we? Let's get into something a little bit more positive. Sunday night basketball, milestone for NBA on NBC Sports. Lakers-Knicks, 4.5 million viewers on NBC plus Telemundo, 5 million peak audience. Most watched regular season Sunday night NBA games since 2002, excludes Christmas Day. Sunday night NBA games.
Now, let's look at what real success looks like, because the contrast with Unrivaled is striking. While Unrivaled is collapsing, Caitlin Clark just made her debut as an NBA analyst for NBC, and the network is already considering expanding her role. Sunday night basketball on NBC drew 4.5 million viewers for the Lakers vs. Knicks game, with a peak audience of 5 million. That's the most watched regular season Sunday night NBA game since 2002, excluding Christmas Day. The Thunder vs. Nuggets game that followed averaged 2.9 million viewers. Taken together, the Sunday night basketball package averaged 3.7 million viewers. These aren't just solid numbers, they're exceptional, exceeding network expectations and justifying NBC's huge investment to bring the NBA back to prime time.
2018, all Sunday windows. Most watched game of the season across all networks, excludes tip-off and Christmas Day. Thunder Nuggets average 2.9 million viewers, NBC plus Telemundo. Sunday night basketball, two-game average, 3.7 million viewers. Let's get into what the executives over there at NBC had to say. NBC Sports leadership weighs in. Rick Cordella spoke positively about Clark's debut, noting that she did a good job.
Rick Cordella, an NBC Sports executive, publicly praised Clark's performance as an analyst. He said she did a great job, handled the role with ease, and demonstrated a strong understanding of the game along with clear communication skills. She looked prepared and comfortable, which is impressive given the massive audience and the spotlight of a national NBA broadcast at Madison Square Garden. But more important than the compliments is what's happening next. NBC has already scheduled Clark for another appearance. She's confirmed to work as an analyst for the Knicks vs. Thunder game on March 29. Cordella also said he hopes to see more of her in the future. This isn't just polite praise after a single appearance, it's a clear sign that NBC is genuinely interested in building a long-term relationship with her.
Clark nailed it, according to the executives, in her NBC speaking analyst role. Love to see it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like the video and subscribe to the channel, that would mean so much.
Here's why this matters for Clark and the bigger picture of women's basketball. NBC isn't putting her on air as a gimmick or publicity stunt. They're integrating her into NBA coverage because she adds real insight and credible analysis. Her perspective comes from being an elite player who knows the game at the highest level, and that makes her valuable to the broadcast. This is significant because it shows a career path beyond playing in the WNBA or relying on leagues like Unrivaled. Clark is building a multifaceted career, establishing herself as a media personality with real influence across major networks. NBC sees her as someone who can contribute not just to NBA coverage, but potentially NFL, Olympics, and streaming platforms, a much bigger stage than the WNBA or Unrivaled can offer. Now, look at the contrast. Unrivaled invested heavily. They created a new league, added teams, expanded their schedule, secured TNT and True TV deals, and promoted big events. Yet their viewership collapsed by 44% in 1 year, averaging just 103,000 viewers. Meanwhile, Clark does one NBA broadcast, delivers insightful analysis for a few hours, and NBC immediately talks about expanding her role and bringing her back. She is adding value to a product that already works, rather than trying to prop up one that no one is watching. The lesson is clear. There is a huge audience for high-level basketball. The NBA proves it weekly with multi-million viewers. People want to hear from elite players who can break down the game with insider knowledge. And there is interest in women in prominent sports media roles when they bring real expertise. What there isn't interest in is 3-on-3 leagues playing in small venues during the WNBA off-season. Unrivaled tried to create demand through marketing, big arena events, and hype. But you cannot market your way into relevance if the product itself doesn't resonate. 40,000 viewers with zero football competition, even with record attendance and national headlines, shows the ceiling for this concept. Unrivaled assumed WNBA fans would be desperate for more basketball in the off-season and consume whatever they offered. The ratings prove that assumption wrong. Fans aren't showing up in meaningful numbers, they aren't treating it as must-watch, or even casual viewing, they simply aren't watching. And that creates a real problem for the league's sustainability. The league's future looks shaky. If you can't hold your audience in year 2, what happens in year 3? What happens when the novelty wears off and you're just another niche sports property averaging 60,000 viewers on True TV? At some point, the economics stop making sense. Television networks don't keep shows on air out of charity, they need content that delivers audiences to advertisers. At 103,000 viewers, Unrivaled isn't delivering. They're taking up valuable time slots and giving minimal return. The only reason they're still